Parak 4, Mishnah 2. Ben Azai says, Chave ras the mitzvah kala, uvoreach min havera. You should run to a minor mitzvah, to a light, easy mitzvah. Uvoreach min havera. And you should flee, run from any avera. Shemitzvah goreras mitzvah, uveavera goreras avera. Because a mitzvah pulls along, drags along another mitzvah, and an avera drags along another avera. Sheschar mitzvah mitzvah, v'schar avera avera. And the payment, the just proper payment of a mitzvah is another mitzvah, and the just proper payment of an avera is another avera. So Chavi Ras mitzvah kala. So what makes a mitzvah light, or what makes a mitzvah easy? Right? How do you know which ones are the light mitzvahs? How do you know which are the heavy mitzvahs? So some of them it seems it's pretty much, smiling at somebody, right? Greeting someone with a pleasant face seems to be an easy mitzvah, right? Fasting on Yom Kippur is a little harder. No? Not murdering. I don't know, is not murdering an easy mitzvah or a hard mitzvah? I guess it depends on the victim and the week. But so we'll start with the schar. We talked about the idea in the first parak, the difference between the schar of a mitzvah and the pras of a mitzvah, right? It says, in the third Mishnah, the first parak, it says, "Al tiyu kavadim hashan shmet rab almanas lekabel pras." Don't be like servants who serve their master for the sake of a pras. Right? We saw several places in the second mitzvah that says that you can count on Hashem, the schar, right? The bal pulusecha, right? That you could trust Him to give you your schar. So you're allowed to work for schar, you can demand schar, you can trust that God will give you schar, but you're not allowed to work for or demand pras. So what this says, right, that the schar of a mitzvah is a mitzvah, and the schar of an avera is the avera. What's the schar? So the schar of a mitzvah is the connection to Hashem. God says, it's relationship based, right? Why do you serve God? You serve God in order to build a connection to Him, to make His presence more real to you, to attach your soul to attach your soul to Him. When the Mishnah says that you can trust that God will pay you the schar of a mitzvah, what it says is you're allowed to look at God and say, listen, God, I will serve you. I will do what's appropriate on condition that you draw me close to you. Right? I will be a servant of God on the condition, and I can make it a condition. Right? I will draw myself close to you on the condition that you draw yourself close to me. What you're not allowed to demand is pras. You're not allowed to say, God, I will serve you on the condition that you keep me healthy. Sometimes it becomes a very difficult thing to face, right? It's like, why me? Why am I going through this? It's like, I try to be a nice guy. Why do I have to put up with this? And it's easy. You hear the little voice in your head that wants to just yell, say, hey, boss, you know what? You're me and I'm done. Right? That wasn't the deal. The deal was, I would do mitzvahs and pretend to be a nice Jewish boy and you'd make my life easy. And then, you know what? Life works out to be not so easy. You find yourself sitting in a room wearing chemo pumps and ports and jacks, and it's not so easy. And it's easy to look at it and just say, I'm done. Right? If you're going to make it hard, I'm done. Right? It's not fair. Why me? I'm not tormenting people. Why should I have a hard day? So you're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to say, God, I will serve you as long as you make me wealthy. And the fact that I'm having trouble getting a job, or the fact that I'm having trouble making money, or that my marriage didn't work, or that my feet hurt, or that, I'm out of here. Life wasn't easy. I'm out of. And you see people who do that. Right? People whose faith is crushed, or the relationship with God is crushed because times are difficult. And he says it says from the beginning, third parak, that's not the promise. There's no promise that God will give you the pras of an easy and simple life. What God will give you is schar. And that schar is the promise that if you do actions, mitzvot, whose purpose it is to draw God close to you, to refine yourself and bring yourself close to God, God promises that He will draw you close to Him. Right? And that's what we're here for. We're trying to refine our souls. He says, you refine your soul and your soul will be refined. You draw yourself to God and you will be drawn close to God. So the problem is you don't know which things matter. Right? Think in terms of relationship with your wife, with your kids, with your friends. So the big stuff. What's the big stuff? The big stuff is I'm going to make sure that my wife has a house to live in. Right? I'm going to make sure that she's got health insurance. I'm going to make sure that, we don't commit adultery. I'm going to, like, these huge things. But you can't go to your wife and say, listen, I'm not committing adultery, and you have a house, and you have food, and you have health insurance, so what do I need to be polite for? Right? What do I need to show up and come home early for? What do I need to be respected? These are little things. Like the big, right? You feel like, you want to tell her, listen, I do all the big stuff. Or apocryphy, the guys that get apocryphal, you guys, I do all the big stuff. So what are you getting on my case over the fact that I like to throw my socks in the kitchen sink? It's like, you know what? Get some perspective. That's a small, it's a sink. It's kind of like a laundry basket. What's the problem with it? Right? But you don't know which things. Bringing the girl flowers is a trivial thing, right? Thinking of what it is that she likes and doing something nice, right? Buying candy that's her kind of candy, not your kind of candy. Or you come downstairs and the kitchen's a mess and she's going to get up and, put all the dishes in the dishwasher. Whatever it is the little stuff it becomes clear inside a relationship that much of the stuff that builds a relationship isn't just the big stuff. It's the little stuff, right? And for your wife to see you, right? If your kids see you running to do little stuff, it still strikes me as, the two conversations. A while ago, I mentioned playing with one of my daughters. And someone called, work phone call, and I took the call and I spoke to them for a second and I said, I can't talk now. I'm in a very important meeting. Can I talk to you tomorrow? And she cited that for 2 years, as one of the highlights of her life. She went, Daddy told one of his work people to go away because he was in a very important meeting with me, right? I did it the other day. I was on the phone, a friend called and I said, listen, this is my quiet time with her. She's very much a quality time person. That's, her method of feeling and showing love. And it's important to her to have. But it's a little trivial little thing. No skin off of my back. Nothing. But just to let her know, right, little stuff. He says, Yahweh runs. You have to run to do the little stuff. Because we're talking about a relationship. You're trying to be connected to your Creator. And He knows that you're not going to kill people. We have that one down. But the question is, how are you on the little stuff? Run. Right? And run away from the Avera. Because you never know which things are going to damage your relationship. Again, thinking about your wife. Right? So everybody knows you're not going to burn the house down and throw your wife out and eat tray food and have an affair. But that doesn't mean you can get away with just being bitter at her, or nasty at her, or insulting to her, or, right? These little things, right? The same thing with your relationship with God. It's every Avera, and then the problem is once you get on a path, one pulls the next one. One kindness generates another kindness, gives you an opportunity, gives you an incentive, you take pleasure in it, you love it. It says getting on the path of doing small stuff. You just put one foot in front of the other and soon you're walking across the floor. Right? That it's each little thing. It's hard to just jump in and say, I'm going to do huge things. It's much easier to say, I'm going to do a little thing, and that'll bring another little thing, and that'll bring another little thing. So that's Goreret. Physically, it draws it along. But the key thing is this idea, then it comes back and says the schar. Right? We said it's a relationship building thing. The just reward. Right? If I do something that makes you and I closer, the proper compensation is soon comes another opportunity to do it again. That's why it's schar. Right? Every time I do something that draws me closer to Hashem, if I look, I'll see there's another opportunity to do it again. And another opportunity to do it again. When you're building a connection to your friends, you'll see, once you get in the point of training yourself to see these opportunities, they come and they come and they come and they come. But if you turn yourself into a bitter, nasty person, right, and you do the bitter, mean thing, and you push yourself away from God, you'll instantly see another way to do it again. And you'll see another opportunity to do it again, and you create a path. And it all starts with paths. Right? That's why we talked about it, Ezu Derech Yashar. What's the straight path? It's not just a single point, it's a path. And doing good draws you on a path of doing more good. And doing evil draws you on a path of doing more evil. So that's our Mishnah.